right, baby. Here we go, man. We are in championship Monday. All right. Coach's office
Let's
crew
go.
coming back here. And we are excited to be here right now. We have hopefully an awesome show for you today. We've all had a little bit of drama going on before the show. Coach was out there playing with Texcalibur, trying to flash the snowflakes falling down, and he cut himself. So he can't play with those dangerous items, Coach. You got to be careful out there.
They're just for scaring footballs when we get turnovers. That's it.
Well, some teams are just hard to kill, baby, but they did get killed. What are you going to say, man? They got killed. All right, baby. We're talking about some playoff football, some championship football. As we call it, it's Championship Monday, which is friggin', what is it, January 19th. And next year, it's January 25th, I believe. Are we kidding ourselves with this? How long are we going to drag this out? I mean, it feels like we've been doing these shows for a year, right?
You know what I said to somebody today? I remember when we were doing we were going over our previews for the games for the week coming up during the show.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember one of the games on the docket was Indiana against Syracuse. And we were kind of split down the middle.
Yeah.
It was at the time, it's just Indiana came from literally the darkness and the shadows to be they had a great season last year, and they played great all year. Yep. But it was always just they were always going up against teams, and we were kind of sitting back going, Indiana looked good last week. What do you think about this week? And it was I remember being Indiana against Syracuse. Little did we know Syracuse was the lamb going to the slaughter. We had no idea. You know what I mean?
They're plagued by injuries, definitely were. But we do know, I heard this on a show today. I was laughing. It was if you took somebody that was went into a coma 2.5 years ago, and they woke up and they were a college football fan, and I go, who's playing in a college football championship? And you told them, they'd be like, bullshit.
100%.
It's true, yeah.
I mean, you got to give it to Indiana. We talk about Cignetti all year, and the last couple of games, Maul, I know you took one right square on the chin repeatedly with those knockout blows with the Indiana-Oregon game. What do you take away from that one, Maul?
From the first play of the game, I just wanted to start downing beers. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then I see on Twitter last week, and they're showing the same exact play, and a guy runs a corner out on the other side of the field and wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open. It could have been a touchdown for Oregon first play of the game. Instead, it was a pick six. So it's just
he went to the opposite side of Moore looked at the opposite side of the field. His first read, his eyes he wasn't even looking over there.
No, yeah. He looked like Jalen Hurts out there.
It just looked like he was, I don't know, man. It looked like the moment was a little big for him. And he made some great throws in the game and played he made some outrageous plays, but
yeah. It was just, from that moment on, it was just, listen, Indiana, Oregon did come back down and score, but then it was and listening to people talk about watching the guys on the field and saying, doing the eye test, everybody was talking about the eye test on a lot of the shows, and you see all the people coming out, and it's Indiana with going against Ohio State, the eye test, they lost the eye test. They've lost the eye test against everybody. But
yeah, because half their roster's JMU guys.
Yeah, they just got, listen, they have what you call football players. High fight level guys, Coach. I know that's your term.
Fight level, baby.
Guys that are 4, 5, 6-year players that are more mature, and that led to something in which I heard today, which I thought was really, really cool idea. And I think it's something that might be probably coming down the pipe here because it just makes sense. You talk about guys coming out of high school, and we talk about their stars, right? And then you talk about the next time these guys are graded is when?
Combine.
Yeah. So now with all the movement in college football, they're thinking about, somebody was mentioned about they should start doing a number or a grade that follows the guys through college.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that kind of like is not a bad thing to do because, you know, you could be a 0-star guy and all of a sudden you're starting at a big time school and you're making plays, you know, and now you've climbed the ladder and now you're this type of guy. And now, like when guys are recruiting, they don't just keep you as that, oh, he's a 0-star, he's a 1-star. No, 4-star, you know?
Z,
So I think that's a good idea. What do you guys think
it's a
about
great
that?
idea. I think it almost probably needs to be done now, especially with like, you know, again, the market, which is NIL, and the portal and all that. But watching Nick Saban today on McAfee,
Yeah.
he was like, who are the people that are assigning these stars? Are they football coaches? Are they are they players? They're press. You know, in large,
they're scouts, really. You
they're
know,
scouts. So in many ways, the people that are assigning these stars are, again, there's no massive nationwide combine where you can send. I'll give you a great. And this is like, you know, and I have bias because I'm friends. This is one of my childhood best friends in the world. But Z could attest to this. We had a kid play for us 100 years ago named Jim Lakoviak. And Jimmy Lakoviak was this outrageous football player, and he had a cup of coffee with the Washington Redskins. Okay. But he came from Brick.
I'm offended by that, Coach.
I'm sorry, the Commanders. And he came from Brick, and back then, you know, when we were at Brick, Coach Wolf ran the Delaware wing tee, and you know there were games where we threw the ball 3 times a game. Is that an exaggeration, Z? Like we would, a couple waggles and maybe a whatever, I don't know, jump pass. And Jim Lakoviak was our left end. This kid went on to Southern Connecticut. They offered him they were the only school at a high school to offer him a full athletic scholarship. And Jim didn't have a lot of money. So he went there. He ended up getting, I wish I looked this up before the show. He got some prestigious award. It was like the Golden Helmet Award, which is given to the best football player in like the Northeast, like New England area or whatever it is. The kid led the nation in kick return yards and receiving yards and like all this crazy stuff, all these crazy stats. Had he went and played for a team one town over from us that was like a little bit ahead of their time, and they ran air raid in Toms River East, and this kid had the stats, he very well may have been a 5-star Division I recruit. Who knows? You know what I mean? So I just think the star thing we need to like chill out on it a little bit, because like you said, Z, the metric and the model that we have to give them out is kind of like a little bit inundated.
Well, again, it's I think the stars and back then is one thing, but I think nowadays there's so much more work done in the process. Like when I went to school, there was like, maybe a couple camps you went to, and you found out about them with a phone call, or there wasn't like an email. There was like everything was word of mouth. It was like this, and then like
the newspaper.
They got a little bit more going on, and then now with Malt went and Walsh went, like it's all like coordinated, and it's all like social media posts. So I think the rankings are a lot more accurate and stuff.
Spin zone stuff, though.
I know, but it's still stuff that you got to have something to go by, because I mean, if you're a coach and you have a way to say you're getting 4 stars, 5 stars, recruiting them, it's something that you can use to say we're getting the right guys, and to say we just gotta, we got the talent. And basically it's just a measure of talent. I mean, at that level, in my opinion, when you have guys that are 5 stars, they're going to be a certain height, they're going to be a certain weight, they're going to be strong, they're going to run this. So it's like basically everything is just the measurables in my book. I think you're kind of looking at. What do you guys think about that?
Talk about the 5-star stuff. I know when me and Malt played, there's a bunch of, like, especially in our area, solid linemen that are definitely short-sized, obviously. And then you have some dudes that are 6'7", 335 pounds that are 5-star guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, especially on the front side of the ball, front 5, front 7, definitely. Size obviously matters when it comes to stars, but all the way down the road, I memean, I don't know if that really matters once you get to Oklahoma or Texas. Everybody's 6'7", 335 pounds. You're not playing against freaking 4, 5'2" kid in the hallway that just learned how to freaking stunt.
You're You're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
No,
Once you get
no.
there.
But I think a lot of times too, like I know you guys can attest to it, like there's so many camps that you can go to, when you're like nowadays, like, Will, I know you were really into all this stuff when you were playing, and you were trying to go here, you were trying to go there, and you were looking at this, and you go to this camps you're invited to, there's places you can go, and you can wind up going against 5-star, 4-star guys at some of these
Some of
camps.
them, yeah. So camps.
And this is how they kind of get their name by going to these things. But some of the guys you'll miss out on is a kid like, I'm going to use like Malt for an example. Like Malt, if Malt was like 6'2", he might be still playing right now, because of how quick he has and the quick twitch. But you know what? Malt loved playing football. And then when it was winter, he loved wrestling. And then, well, probably liked it because I don't think I've ever met a kid that really loves wrestling. It's like a love-hate relationship. And then in spring, he was going to be playing baseball. He didn't want to go to camps. He didn't want to go here. He wanted to just play ball with his friends. So he wouldn't be going to camps. And if he was 6'2" and did really good, he wouldn't have had like no grade because he wasn't going to camps. So that's how it kind of works sometimes. So
the other thing too, like Saban made a great he's like Damian Harris was a 5-star guy that he got. And Josh Jacobs, I think, was no stars.
Yeah.
He's like,
and Cam Ward last year, right? How about Cam Ward?
You know what I mean?
0 stars to Heisman. Same thing when you Mendoza right now, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it's the spin zone, a lot of it's hype. You know what I mean? But whatever.
And a lot of it, I think some of it also like downgrades, like what type of offense you run. Some people will say, "Oh, well, I saw some guy that was a scout or some guy that says he's whatever." It says that if you're running like an option offense or the wing T, you're doing a disservice to your athletes.
Not your running backs and your offensive linemen.
Yeah, again, it's like, listen, dude, you can have your philosophy and who you're playing and, you're throwing the ball and all that kind of stuff. But, if a coach has a way of doing things and it's a certain whatever, scheme and whatever, and he's successful, shut your mouth. Like, you know what I mean? This is what the guy knows and this is what he's doing. And it's not you. Who are you to try to like bash him? So I think that's like something that's kind of ridiculous too.
The way to bring that whole thing around, talking just about in terms of rating talent. If we were to just take a look at both rosters tonight that are playing tonight, and you were to just go, who's an NFL guy and who is not? I mean, who do you give the edge to in terms of sheer talent and roster-wise? You got to give it to Miami probably, right? In terms of just guys who are going to get drafted and walk right onto an NFL field next year with a contract. I think you got to give it to Miami.
That's the getting off the bus test.
That's the getting off the bus test that you spoke about. Miami is definitely in the plus category when it comes to NFL caliber. Freak 5-star talent, all the measurables, right?
Yeah.
But but you got a gun to your head and you got to bet right now. Take the spread out of it. It's just a head up, straight up game. I mean, Miami is the underdog. It's an 8.5 point spread. Miami with superior talent is the underdog, and and there's something to be said about. And again, I know we joke about all the JMU transfer kids like that he brought in to start the program off. But he's gotten some guys and he's gotten some transfers and he's, we all know Mark Cuban helps him out in NIL a lot. So, but at the end of the day, like those kids scrap, man. Those kids are friggin' nasty and they want to kill you for the entire game and do not pat Signetti on the back until the game is over. He's miserable.
Yeah, well, just to go off what you were saying, Kite, I mean, you look at the defensive side of both teams. The best player on Miami is going to be a top 5 overall pick. The best player on Indiana's defense is a 5'9" cornerback who's one of the best in college football. So
and you don't even want to throw at the kid because you know how well prepared he is and how scrappy he is. It's just I say this: Mendoza's listen. I think Mendoza. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea. He is phenomenal, and I think he's going to be a very successful. If everything, goes according to plan, barring any injuries or anything like that, this kid is going to be a successful NFL quarterback. Why? Because you could just tell his brain is wired to be obsessed with football and preparing for football and preparing for his opponents. And he's a junkie. He is so electric when he throws the ball, and he's so accurate, and he's so well prepared. That being said, if Indiana never put the ball in the air and had to hand it off every play, I still think they're probably maybe they have 1 or 2 losses. Maybe they lose in the Big Ten championship, and maybe they lose the regular season game to Oregon. The rest of their games, they were able to just pound the shit out of people. Yeah. They are so physical. You know what I mean?
Behind Rose Bowl MVP Pat Coogan.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. The other thing is like looking at like the talent level, and the thing that people aren't like, people like, again, I think we think of it a little bit too, is what's the scheme and how are they able to execute it, And that's the thing that I think like Cignetti has his scheme. He has his this is the way we're going to do it. This is the way we're going to do it. And I think they're just, from hearing everybody say it and then watching them play, people say they're the most technically, like, I guess you could say technicians as far as their technique on the field. Because
they have a great continuity of their coaching staff.
They have that. They have that, but they also have guys that are like they do a very unbelievable job of using technique to defeat blocks. Which when you watch those 2 linebackers for them. I mean, you watch them get up from a tackle, and they're held, the top of their helmets are coming up to the guy's armpits, but they're constantly making tackles and defeating linemen coming at them. So it's like these guys are just like, they know how to play football. They're older guys. They've been around. Like I listened to a thing today on the tight end. What's his name? Nowakowski for Indiana. Right. He was at Wisconsin for his first 4 years and was like a barely playing person. Like he barely played. He barely touched the field. He comes to Indiana and they're saying like he's the reason why their offense is so good because of all the stuff that he does. But this is the guy that was at another Big Ten school that barely played for 4 years. So is it like fitting guys into like, I think their coaching staff, one thing that they definitely can do unbelievably, which is a gimme right now, but watching them, is their evaluation of talent and football players. Not like the measurables. They just want to find the guys that are making the tackles and the guys that feed blocks and the guys can play the right technique. And that's what they,
well, and again, Z, you kind of hit, like you said it earlier, there's guys who are, we use this term where I work, we say you're big for nothing. And there's guys that look great and they will win every eyeball test in the world.
Yeah.
But then they got to go block a little rat like Christian Malta, and they just can't because he's just making moves and doing everything, and he'll run through a wall for you. The thing that I will say is this: you and I talked about this, was like, I think now the continuity in the coaching staff is, and again with the continued success of Indiana, I don't know if this is going to be a thing moving forward, but that staff has been together for the most part for some time.
Yeah.
And Z, like as a head coach, you can talk a little bit about this. Is just when you have your guys around you, you have your foxhole guys that you can count on to teach your players, and you speak the same language, and they are going to carry out your wishes, and et cetera, et cetera. I think that is huge because, when you're a Nick Saban and after a national championship year, something close to it, an offensive coordinator gets a head coaching job, a defensive coordinator gets a head coaching job, maybe a position coach gets a coordinator job somewhere else. And now you're having to teach your coaching staff, before every season. This guy this has been a team led by Cignetti, but a team. And it just shows that they speak each other's language. They're all on the same page. They practice what they think they only need to practice to win. Z, that's another thing we talked about.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think about that in terms of just having your guys around you for a prolonged period of time?
listen, having a staff and continuity is always good. That's something I thought I always try to get. And I think some years we had it. And some years were definitely better than others as far as the continuity of staff and everybody. It all comes with wanting to be around each other, wanting to work with each other. And then there's times where, if you don't agree with people, you don't get along with people, you're less likely to be around them and do the extra work. But I think if everybody kind of gets along good, then I think it becomes easier to do the work with each other. And it's something that you want to do to work with each other. You want to spend time with each other and get that continuity. And you're all pushing towards the same goal and not having guys that might have, other motives or they're not bought in. Like we would talk about sometimes is, like Mac. I know Mac was big with that, and we would sit there and be like, if he would, if we were at a coaches meeting and he saw that somebody didn't watch any film and you had something to say, he ignored you. It's like, well,
or he just tortured you.
And it's the same way. What do you want to do? Yeah, well, why do you say that? Well, why? Because you watch film? No, you didn't. Be quiet.
Or be like, what do you guys think of number 71? He's a real terror. What do you think we should do? Oh yeah, he's hard. Well, too bad they don't have a 71. See you later.
Yeah. That's the stuff sometimes where I think the more you got a staff that gets along and they're close like that and they all have a game plan and a way they're going to do things, that Cignetti must definitely have a certain plan and a way he has to go about things. But in this game, you got to remember, you have a guy that was in the foxhole with them too. And Corey Heatherman, who's a defense coordinator for Miami, was a defense coordinator with Cignetti at JMU for 2 years.
Yep.
So he knows some of the stuff that Cignetti does. And the guy who is a defense coordinator now was working with him at JMU and was under Corey Heatherman when they were there. So there definitely is a little bit of, some friendly, definitely competition going on, definitely between those guys. But that's also going to, how is that going to come out in the game? Who, picked up some things, some other people more than the other? Did Heatherman, did Corey learn some things about Cignetti? And did Cignetti learn more about Corey and things that they might know about each other? So that right there lends me to believe, because of them, and Corey has run the same defense for a while since I met him years ago when he was at Maine and he was coming down and recruiting our guys. And then he's been to so many places since, has worked his way up the ladder. He's always been an awesome guy. So I cheer for that guy. But they both kind of run the same type of defense, because it's been good for them. Miami's always been known as that 4-3 Miami defense. And, if they can get pressure with 4, then they can be nasty, and Indiana's just very, very, with their zone blitzes and the stuff that they do, they're a little different routed going that way. So I just think that's a pretty cool way about little insider of this game, between that battle between, what does Heatherman know about the Indiana guys and what do they know about Heatherman,
Yeah, that's definitely that's definitely a storyline that they talked about that earlier. And I think that it was just kind of listen, we know when you get to this point in the year, I think everybody knows what everybody's going to do or what they like to do. And they just have to be the best.
You might know what they like to do, but then there's also things by being in a coach's office with somebody, when you go over things, what they know they don't like too, and they don't like going against, and things that bother them, and things that they don't like to see. You kind of know that too, So I think every day in practice, when Heatherman was going up against Cignetti and trying to be, all right, well, like Brian did to me in that practice, I know if I do this, I'm going to piss Z off. If I do this, I'm going to piss Kurt off. Is there things like that might come out in this game,
So we got member of our audience in the chat, Gary Merton, I believe, brings up a great point. He said, the Canes have a big, nasty O-line. And he's 100% right in that point. Everybody just, I think with the huge margins of victory that Indiana has had the last couple games, everybody just thinks they're this machine, which they really look like they are. I mean, we could get into this game tonight and it could get ugly. But Z, to quote you, it's like O-lines travel, defenses travel, and they're playing at home. So, I mean, not even traveling, but I'm just saying when you can play defense and you can get pressure with your down guys and you can just line up, and your offensive line, Miami's offensive line, their offensive line coach is a wizard. Alex Mirabal is a stud. Obviously, Mario Cristobal is a offensive line guy, but they pride themselves on that great quote from Mario Cristobal. He just says, "Mass kicks ass," and they have a massive offensive line. They have
Great tight
small
end.
splits. Their splits are tight, dude. So there's not a lot of getting out of trouble on the inside.
Yeah.
And they get off the ball and they mash you. And they got a big running back, and he likes to fall forward for yards. And when the bullets start flying and things get a little squirrely, they hand him the ball, and those guys just push people.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Are we gonna see, like, again? This would be a Brian McNamara Root Hog special. I almost feel like tonight, but
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
We're going trap run, baby.
I just feel like Miami has the ability to do that when, hey, wait a second, things are getting a little wild. Let's slow things down. And we're just going to put you in a phone booth and we're going to punch you in the face for a little while. You know what I mean? I think they have that ability.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question, guys. If you saw like some of the stuff going on, like one thing I was listening to a lot of stuff, and I think the same thing about it. Do you think like the way Indiana, as far as the way they've gone about their way of doing things this season in the playoffs and everything, do you think there's anything that Indiana could do differently with their cornerback, one of their better players, Xavier Lucas, out for the first half from that targeting call that he had against Ole Miss? He's out for the first half of the game. They're a little banged up in the secondary, and one of their best guys out. So do you think there's a chance that, Indiana has three pretty good receivers, that they all very good at what they do. Do you think there's a chance that they maybe go up top a little bit more early on?
I think they're going to definitely test them
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 80, I like Charlie Becker. I think he should get some targets earlier in the game.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, between the three of those guys, they got some. It seems like Surratt can get open on anybody, and I just wonder if they might just be like, maybe not be like, I don't know, just don't know, because I know they have a game plan, they have a way of doing things, and do you think they would just adjust from that because of the different? Basically, there's going to be a whole, Miami might come out with a whole different way of doing things in the second half by having one of their better defensive backs back. So I just wonder if they would play it a different way. Are they going to see how they're going to do it? Is Miami going to come out with more of a three deep look because they're missing one of their guys and try to keep everything in front of them and, say, I don't know, who knows what they're going to do, so that's what I was wondering, if that was going to have any factor in how you think that the way Indiana's going to call the game early on.
I think that they are, and rightfully so, I think they are going to lean on their strengths. I'm speaking, Miami defensively.
Yeah.
And listen, like the back end on Miami is very good. It looks better than I think it is in reality because of what they got going on up front. I just don't think. Listen, man. Again, the Indiana coaching staff is smart. I'm sure they'll have a plan. I'm sure they're going to try and do things protection-wise and maybe screens and, things that everybody knows get done to slow down pass rushes. But it's easier said than done, dude. Those guys have a motor, and they swarm, and they friggin' make plays that this is going to be the biggest test of, and it's in the national championship, so it's awesome.
Yeah.
But in terms of pass rush, I think this is going to be obviously the biggest test of Mendoza. He's going to get hit a little bit tonight. I think they're going to get to him a little bit tonight. They get to everybody, no matter what anybody does to scheme them up. You know what I mean? It's just they're that talented, and they got a couple killers on the inside too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they ate up Oregon's O-line, ate them up. And
they're good.
Number 97,
dude.
dog.
And they got one of the top offensive lines in college football. So
and a lot's made about.
See, I think Oregon, dude. I think they didn't stick with their run game.
Thank you. I was
right after
going
the
to say
first
it.
When you saw the size of them, and a couple of times they lined up and they were moving them and they were getting yards, and I'm like, I know they were down a lot of running backs, but listen, the next 4 or 5 star guy jumped in there and they were okay. So my point was, like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. And that's you got a distinct big size advantage. Maybe line up and try to push them around a little bit and stick with it.
They did in the beginning of the game. Every every blocking scheme they ran, they had success with.
Yeah. And then where'd it go?
And then when it was
They
21
went
to
down by
7,
2 scores, and then we had to just go
Yeah.
air friggin' more, and it was horrible.
Yeah. But I mean, but
The
stick
line
with it.
also got torn up too when they dropped when more dropped back by the Indiana D line. They were getting torn up on their pass blocks.
he had no time to throw. It looked like it was just awful. It
But
was,
that's what I do. Like Miami too. Like I think Miami has. I mean, listen, we've watched a lot of the games, and it seems like every Miami game in the playoffs, every team has played the pace of the game the way Miami wants you to play the pace of the game. You know, Miami hasn't deviated. Miami has done like they have controlled the clock mostly on everybody. They're gonna be happy getting 3 or 4 yards a pop early on. They're gonna stick with it, and nobody else seems to want us. I mean, Indiana has stuck with it. You know, they got 2 running backs that have pounded the rock, and they do pretty good job of running the ball.
Indiana runs the ball, dude. Mendoza gets I think they run the ball like
Miami,
60% of the time.
But Miami, like again, Indiana runs the ball, but Miami is like married to the run game. Like they're there to run the ball more than anything. You know, in my book, watching them with their 2 backs and their line and their head coach being being who he is as an offensive lineman, like he wants to punish you. You know, and that's the way. I mean, you watch Mario Cristobal on the sidelines during the game. He's looking over the other side of the field like wants to friggin' like murder your mother.
Dude,
you know?
Yeah.
He looks over there like he's looking like like I'm gonna like kill you. Like, do you know like what I'm gonna do to you? And like I just watch his face and I'm like watching his expressions. Like, dude, he actually thinks he's playing the game right now. Like,
Yeah.
he just like he's playing the game, you know?
yeah, he's fired up.
And then
But they
he
love doing
He
it.
looks over and he just got his eyes above his glasses like I'm doing right now. And he just looks at you like, all right, well, this is what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to go to my memory bank. And this one worked for me 10 years ago, and I'm going to do that right now. Boom. And I'm going to pick you apart. Like, it's like such a distinct, like, different coaching style. But again,
I watched.
They
talked about that today.
So they learned from one of the best at it. You know?
They talked about the coaching styles today. It was funny. They were asking him, hey, you guys both, Singeti is a lot's been made out of your thing. He's like, yeah, he goes, I'm just trying. He goes, I ask my players to be even keeled no matter what the situation. And then I turn around and he goes, I got to be doing it too. I can't be a cheerleader. And then they cut to Cristobal and they're like, oh yeah, if you convert a 3rd and short, you're like punching the air and going nuts. And he's just like, yeah, I'm emotional. It was like the contrast between the two is wild. But
yeah.
But here's listen.
You got Coach Mack asking for some overeat blue tonight.
I mean, listen, let's be honest.
Blue, baby.
You might have to overeat blue or line up in a trap front. We might have to see some guys get low, man. But it's easier said than done.
Couple of 2-for-1s and stuff.
If you start doing Coach Mack stuff against these guys, they give off like Malachi Toney. They're going to bring them in motion. They have the scary guys, but then they also have the battering ram. Like, it's demoralizing. Like, listen, I haven't been a huge fan of Carson Beck this whole season. I tip my cap to how he played in the last game, but they are where they are offensively because their O-line and their run game. Fletcher's a beast. He runs physical.
Yeah. And the other guy is a great change of pace. I forget his name, but he comes in and he is so quick.
And then you flip Malachi Toney a little jet sweep here and there, and it's east and west, north and south. But that kid reclassified as he left high school early to come do this, dude.
Senior.
Yeah.
Will, can you imagine having to friggin' tackle that kid in the open field? Like what are we talking? He's your age.
No, he's a year younger than me.
He's a year younger than you.
Yeah.
That's
Think
nuts.
about that.
There's something,
like
there's
Ashante
something
Worthy
that happens mentality-wise.
Literally, dude.
Something that happens mentality-wise when an offensive line, it's like, okay, here, we got him. We got him to 4th down. It's 4th and 1, and they go for it. And they just hand off inside zone. And they get a yard, and then all of a sudden they just start falling forward, and the offensive linemen keep running their feet, and they push you another 3 yards down the field. It's like, man. Like, it's demoralizing.
When you're when you're a smaller O-line, a D lineman. Now I know I could vouch for that when I played. I mean, I was when I played, I was 5'9", 215 when I was in high school. In college, I was different size, but when you get a line like that just lines up and like just starts. I was a guy that when I played, even college and high school, it was all quickness. I tried to, if they were, the bigger the gaps were, the bigger the smile on my face was. You know, it was like, oh, there they are. I want to get in them. But when they got like foot to foot and it was like time to run zone, I'm like, shit, man. You
This
just knew
sucks,
it was
dude.
Be like,
Double
I
team.
knew it was going to be, well, not even zone. I think it was more power and like just the gap scheme stuff. You're like, damn, it's going to get a lot harder now, you know? Like everything has got to, now you got to work for everything. You got to split the gaps. The quickness kind of takes away a little bit. And it's just, if I go too quick, I might get caught and go for a ride. And it's tougher when those gaps are tighter, you know? So that's what Miami's going to be like, yeah, let's get you the phone booth here. You know, you can do all your fancy stuff, but now we're going to just pound the crap out of you.
Saban had a great term for it. He goes, they're great. Miami's offensive line is great at collecting people. And I was like,
yeah, I think our term is a little bit better.
He's like, they work, they'll stay on their track, and they just collect you, especially the smaller guys. You know what I mean?
I like the KDI term a little bit better.
KDI, listen, man, I just don't know.
Nothing beats KDI, boys.
KDI, I think that's some of our listeners might be a little too, their ears might be too sensitive for that.
Yes, but there's like a little acronym for knocking male parts in. So that's what we kind of called it, you know, back in the day. And listen, man, we took pride in that. And that's like, listen, that's the part of football game where, I mean, listen, I think every one of us here, you know, this is the part that why we love coaching it, why we love playing it. And what you try to get is kids, and you guys can tell, I mean, I can ask you guys, is there a better feeling as a lineman when you are pounding the ball and teams are trying to do whatever they can and they just can't stop it?
Yeah.
There's just no
football in general.
Right? And there's no worse feeling being on the other side of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you're running the ball downhill.
I know you guys mentioned Gary before. Gary played. I think he was like 6'4". He was a big guy. He played tackle at Memorial when I played.
Dude,
he was the tackle at Brick Memorial.
Yeah.
So,
but getting back to the whole thing, it's like in years we struggled, you know, when we were coaching, you know, Brian's just a wizard and he comes up with game plans. And it was so funny because I'm watching a great show today and they're talking about how Indiana game plans for their defensive staff takes your offensive scheme, understands the rules, what you're supposed to do in certain situations, and put you in conflict defensively with what they do. They have automatic checks to stuff, all this stuff. And I'm like, this is Brian Mack 101. And I was like, you know, the years we struggled, it was like the game kind of gets taken out of the coach's hands when you line up foot to foot against the zone team or just a very brutal offensive line and stunting, blitzing, all the different stuff you do to negate that kind of gets taken away from you. And you just have to watch your team get out physical. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or, you know what I mean? So it's tough.
Listen, that's the worst thing as a coach, because you kind of feel helpless if you can't stop it. You know, you could talk about, and I know for me, like as a coach, if I can't stop it, I feel like it's just, you know, that has to be stopped. It's tough to stop that type of offense the day of the game. That's the type of offense when you're getting pounded that has to be stopped, you know,
in the summertime,
all year in the weight room, all summer in the pit, in the lineman pit. That's what has to be stopped, because there's no magic potion that you can draw up and stop it. It's just somebody inside has to say, I am not letting this happen anymore, and I'm going to stop it. You know, that's one of your guys, you know, and you can't be a nice guy. Why Walsh?
Now we know.
No nice guys over here.
No nice guys.
And I had to say, listen, man, that was one of the things I tried. And, you know, I tried to friggin' get you guys going, but it wasn't, you know, I didn't need to worry about you being it was trying to the other sophomore nice guys that had to stop being nice guys.
Yeah.
You know, but
if Miami can turn it into a slugfest, they got a chance. That's my
yeah.
quick question for you guys. Over under 12 penalties on Miami today.
Oh,
I got to go over because I think they're going to get
Over?
frustrated at times, and they commit penalties. They're
the
bad.
thing.
That's Miami.
That's what I think is going to lose them the game right there, right?
I don't like. Has Miami been? I mean, watching their games a lot. I don't think
they've been a little leeway with the penalties in the playoffs.
And supposedly, according to McAfee, this crew is the best crew in college football in terms of letting guys play and keeping their flag in their pocket.
Yeah,
they had 10 penalties against Ole Miss.
If I remember.
I mean, they had a lot against Ole Miss.
10 against Ole Miss.
10 against Ole Miss, including the targeting, right?
Yeah, and then only 4.
I mean, the targeting is one thing, sometimes, but I mean, the penalties. I mean, you say you got to be careful with Michael Irvin on the sideline. He might get a couple.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, I don't know.
This might be the same crew from the Miami Ohio State because there was only 2 penalties all game.
I think it was. They were definitely. Yeah, they're. That's the crew. I think, Malt.
Yeah.
They had 0.
Michael Irvin very well may get a penalty. I mean, he did some of his sideline antics. First of all, he was wearing a headset last game. Did you guys see that? Who's he talking to on a headset?
I think he was talking to the Bushman.
Oh, dude, very well, possibly. He took his belt off. This is at the end of the game.
Ohio State.
Maybe it was
and Texas A&M. He did it all 3 times. He took his
Texas
belt.
A&M. He takes his belt off and starts whipping the goalpost, saying "belts to asses," and it's on national television. I go, dude,
in front of their whole section.
He's got to have somebody's got to dial. He's got one less cup of coffee or something, dude. He's nuts. Well, listen, I'm trying to be. That's
some Miami white down there, man.
Hey, he's still a Cowboy too. I got to look him out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was probably getting it from Nate Newton or something.
At the White House.
And then he was doing like, listen, I mean, I shouldn't talk about being a Giant fan with LT. I mean, geez. But now in this game too, like something like a kind of a thing that's a little bit attached to this game in a way. Where I think so, in a way, you got to look at it this way. Darian Mensah, Duke, ACC champion, Duke Blue Devil quarterback, who signed a 2-year NIL with the Blue Devils, leaving Tulane, jumps out in the portal at the last hour.
That's the worst, man.
And he has a signed contract with Duke. Now, think about Mensah. Mensah and Duke, by winning the game versus Virginia, they basically got Miami into the playoffs. Because if they lost to Virginia, you know who's in the playoff.
Yeah.
And Miami isn't even in the playoff. So think about that. So Mensah gets them into the game. Duke gets them in. Miami's in a national championship game. Mensah's like, okay, I'm coming back. And all of a sudden, the last minute, it's like, beep, I'm going to leave for this much money. Now, what the hell? Duke's backup quarterback already went into the portal, which I don't know if he went anywhere because they can always come back. But now Duke has nobody.
No quarterbacks.
It just sucks, dude.
Now, with this problem, because this is a ACC problem, because the commissioner of the ACC, Jim Phillips, he has to find out and he has to decide what type of penalty or what is going to happen with this contract and how is this contract that Darian Mensah signed from Duke. Now, it's from Duke. I would kind of guess that they might have some smart guys over at Duke that know how to draw up a contract. I might guess there might be. So, what is
Miami's probably going to buy those guys too.
ACC commish Jim Phillips, who has Miami taking all the money from this college football run that they've gone on. They said it's going to go to Miami only. So, what is he going to do about this contract? And basically the blatant violation of which we will find out probably how valid this contract is. What can happen here?
Zig, do you remember when Gabriel left Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Like it hurts almost. I mean,
Yeah.
and we're talking about as fans. Imagine being like a coach that's just, I don't know, putting all your time, like a lot of time and everything.
Well, no. Stop right there. Because as a coach, I can understand where you're going with that. But what about the Tulane coach who lost Mensa last year?
That's fine. Was
You
that
know what
done?
I mean? That's fine.
Z, I'm gonna answer that. Was that done in the 25th hour, in the middle of the night, in the middle of the dark, under cloak of darkness? It's 8 seconds before.
Listen,
That's my point. My point to you is, if Mensa walked into the coach's office and said, "Hey, excuse me, Coach Diaz, thanks for everything. I had a blast. I learned some stuff. I'll see you next year on the other side of the, whatever." In the beginning of or at a point in the portal when Duke could turn around and go make a move.
No. Not even. Yeah, the point. Everything about guys leaving, I'm fine. This is the way it is. He has a contract, a signed contract.
I understand that.
The same. This is different now. The same thing that happened to the quarterback
From Washington, Desmond Williams.
Washington, who was going to go to LSU because it seems like he was tampering with everybody, and they were going to hold him to the contract and bring all this stuff up and go to court with it. But the kid winds up saying, "Oh, I'm going to come back." Coach, I went in there and said, "Coach, listen, I was enticed by the money. They were offering me $6-7 million. What do I want me to tell you?" And every coach is going to say, "Dude, I can't blame you, but let's go. Now you're back. Whatever. Well, here we go. Let's get to work." Because that's the way it's got to be. But looking at this for Miami, the difference here is, along with that, is he has the contract. Guys leaving and becoming a coach, a quarterback of another team, and going other places that don't have contracts, you got to expect that nowadays. Like, if you are not a top-level team, you have to possibly expect to lose your quarterback.
I think so.
Elon is a great quarterback. Guess what? He is a backup now at LSU, thinking, well, I shouldn't say he's a backup because he's going in there.
He's fighting
He's
for
making
$500,000. Highlights?
Yeah, he's got a rocket for an arm, the guy. And he can run. He's going in there thinking, like, I'm going to start here. Who knows?
I think you gotta buy out the contract from Duke. I think you gotta buy out the contract, like hand them $4 million to get the quarterback, and then you gotta sign him for 5, 6, 7 million, whatever you want.
7 million.
It'll be 7 million.
Yeah, like it's just crazy.
They're both for 6.57.
And for all we know, tomorrow he could be a hurt.
Let me ask you: If you're Duke, do you care about getting $4 million? Do you care about having a great quarterback?
Exactly.
So you don't care about the money because.
Yeah. And now I have a question for you guys. Let me ask you guys this question: as far as the way I understood it, the portal was closed in terms of entrances into the portal. What, on the 16th?
I think it was like the Friday night.
I think it was the 16th.
Yeah, it just passed, right?
So there's guys in the portal, right?
There's like over 4,000 people still in it.
But my point to you is this: a lot of the moving and shaking that went on, and especially in terms of quarterbacks, happened as soon as the portal opened. It was like, all the stuff was going on with Lane Kiffin, not letting his staff go back to Ole Miss because, the portal was open. It was like right around the first week of it. I think you saw a lot of movement in terms of like the super top tier players in the portal.
Well, yeah, they were visiting and they were getting offers.
Right. Now the portal is closed in that regard, with the exception of Indiana and Miami, because their staff is coaching in the national championship game. They have, if I'm not mistaken, to the 26th. They get an extra week or something to that effect. Because
Oregon got the extra week.
Who?
Oregon got the extra week.
So it was the team. It was all teams, I think, that were vying to get into the national championship game. Yeah. Got the extension. My point to you is this: you jumped into the portal, dude, right before it closed, and there were times where you kept your coaching staff, and again, this is disgusting, but you kept your coaching staff from. It was money that they thought they spent already, and you prevented them from going out and shopping. Now, are they going to go get one of these top tier guys away from an LSU or away from one of these other programs? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not.
But yeah,
But
there
at the
is
end,
no more portals.
There's no one available. There's like
There's
5
no more portals.
ones
There's
from
no more.
Ohio.
Wait, you can't. There's nobody else coming.
I know
Unless-
that.
I mean, there's other ways that things happen nowadays where guys can basically just drop out of school and then basically go to your school and enroll in classes, and they can still do the walk-on route.
Yeah, Fernando Mendoza.
I think there's ways that this stuff gets done, but like I don't know I don't know what a team does now at that point. And again, there's one thing that Duke definitely could do now is say we're not taking anything with this contract. We are going to court. We're going to go an injunction. You have to play for this, or you gotta, and they can really be sticklers for this. Which
I hope they do.
But again,
I mean,
it's also
this
going
is
to
the
be
type of stuff that it makes it look ugly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have a contract and guys are basically still talking to your guys, the problem is there's nobody policing this and nobody holding anybody accountable.
It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is this, and the thing that I was a little bit disappointed to see, just pretty much it was like I think kind of widespread throughout. All
they actually do have a kid from North Alabama committed to Duke, quarterback, but that's not Mensa. I mean,
yeah.
But also
Mensa was terrific. I mean, Mensa, if you look at a lot of the categories, Mensa's up there. And I know he had some turnover issues in the beginning of the year. He made some plays. He stood on his head and made some plays that were friggin' out of control. Like he's electric, dude.
Oh,
because we were betting, we were taking Duke, and me and you, a lot of our picks in the beginning of the year were like the ACC games, Georgia Tech and whatnot. And Mensa's the real deal, dude. I really think he is. But I mean, now I just got to question his loyalty to people. I mean,
he's loyal to the almighty dollar.
He's loyal to his. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, dude, if someone flashed $4 million in front of any one of us and said you got to, in the middle of the night, leave Duke to go to Miami, I don't know if any one of us are going to be like, I can't. I stand on principle. I have to go to Duke.
Listen, I understand everything, but the problem is, guess what? He signed a contract.
That's the worst part about it.
What the thing is are people going to make these contracts actually? I mean, Washington was going to make them stick by it. And that's why the kid's back in Washington. What I hate too? What are you going to do here?
This is off topic. You know what I hate? The move now is, even if I'm a player and I start and I'm a big part of the team, I'm just going to jump in the portal to see if I can jack my NIL deal up on my same team.
That's all that half the kids do, Jack.
That's what they're doing now.
Not half. Every team. You look on the whole thing, it's like, who's in the portal? It's your whole roster. Because they're holding you hostage for an extra whatever in NIL.
Yeah. And guess what? What could happen to some of them is like, oh, well, you could get like some of these people will have no place to go to, and they're going to have to go to places that they thought they were better than, and it's going to happen both ways,
Stark said that if you went into the portal, you're not coming back.
Or even like
he's going to take a stand. I mean, I hope it works. I really hope it works out. I know we have no run game. I mean, we got Brown, but we lost Wisner. We lost some guys, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, 24/7 Sports has Menzie 100% to Miami.
Well, we'll see what happens.
See that tomorrow.
I mean, it looks like, when you say that means the ACC commissioner is just going to fold on it and not going to make the contracts. Now, if they don't make the contracts like valid, then what are we doing here? What are we doing?
They're written in shoe polish because at the end of the day, the guy who's going to make the decision isn't like a judge, I don't think. I could be mistaken on that point. It's going to be a commissioner or an athletic director.
You can fight this in the courts when you have a signed contract. I think there's ways to fight this, and I think you never know. Duke might be fighting this. Who knows? We'll see how it.
Washington technically won.
Yeah,
we're going to sue the kid.
They said we're going to take this to the end, and they were like, who's fighting? Who are they fighting? Is LSU going to worry about it? And now they're going to they just went to Sam Levitt and said, okay, we're not going to do it. But right now, Duke is like, we'll fight it because guess what? We have nobody else. But Miami right now is also saying, well, we have nobody else either. So let's ride it out,
Yeah.
So I guess that's what's going on right now,
You're telling me Miami doesn't have some South Florida freak freshman redshirt kid on the
Well,
in a
every year
program
they went Cam Ward, Carson Beck, and then now
I know
every
that's
year
the move, dude.
You got to get somebody with experience, man. You know.
that's the same thing.
So, all right, with the game, hey, game tonight, baby. What are we? We talked a lot about it. Now, let's see here. What's the? Let's go. I mean, we'll all give our opinions on this. I think as far as what is the pick here, Malt. We'll start with. You want to go last, Malt? Do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, what are you thinking here? What's the pick?
So as I look at this, I'm thinking. I mean, obviously, I hope Miami's D line comes to play because that's what they're gonna need. Do you look at as the betting wise, I feel like more people might take the 7.5 because they're like, oh, it's a national championship game. 7.5 is going to go the other way. Let's take.
Didn't it go up to 8.5 too?
It's 8.5.
It's 8.5. I saw it. All right, so
it opened, I think, at 7.5.
I think Indiana's going to roll them. I mean, I don't know who. There's no one. I looked at Oregon. Maybe Miami's more prepared and have done better, beating A&M and Ohio State. Maybe Oregon wouldn't have been able to beat those teams because they're not. Every time they get into a big game, they just turn into the worst team in the playoffs. So I look at it like that, but I don't know. I look at Oregon's roster and everything and who they have, and just the same thing. Oregon's O-line got dominated in the way in the second half of the game and in the second quarter. They didn't even have a fighting chance. And I was the biggest hater of Indiana the whole year because they beat us in the regular season. So I just look at I think Indiana I think it's just meant for them to just roll. I think they're gonna do on both sides of the ball, and maybe Carson Beck finally has a shit-em game. I don't know, but if you could stop Tony and you got to get to Mendoza. You got to make him feel comfortable if he gets the ball out so quick. And then they run it 10, 15 times, and they're getting 5-6 yards of carry. So then you send a blitz, and he drops it over the top. It's just there's nothing you can really do to stop this team this year. They're unbelievable.
All right. What do you got, Walsh? What's your opinion?
I think they're going to roll them up front, dude. I think this Indiana O-line is very underrated, especially Pat Coogan. I'm still hyped that he won the Rose Bowl MVP. That was one of the best things I've seen in football in a while.
That was awesome.
And I think that Miami, everybody knows. I mean, you don't have to watch football. You can just go online and talk about all they talk about is Miami's D-line and just their defense in general. But I think that Indiana's offense and defense is just well sounded on both sides of the ball. And I think that they're just going to run the ball right down their throats. And if they can't, then Mendoza's just going to make plays with his arm.
Okay. Coach?
So first, before I get into the game, I just want to give special thanks to Will Walsh for getting involved in the big-time Super Bowl poll this year. He is the only person to get a box. I thought I would be getting
I'll be in soon, Coach. Don't worry about it.
One or two out of vets or potentially BTHS phys ed staff, but we'll see what happens. No, I think after watching the Oregon game, here's the thing. I think Miami's defense is better, and I think Miami is more committed to the run. Two things that I think would have changed the outcome of the last game against Indiana. I think they are going to try to establish the run game. That's Miami. And their defense is going to be fired up, and it's a home game. It's literally a home game. That being said, I think Indiana wins and covers. I'm not going to try and predict the score. I'm not going to say it's going to be a boat race. I think Indiana wins and covers.
All right. Well, this is my magic number here. The magic number I have is 25. If the winning team is below 25, then Miami's going to win.
Okay.
If it's over, then Indiana's going to win. That's my number right there. And I think I'm going to go with Miami to keep it low.
Whoa!
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think there's going to be a lot of.
You're on Vegas' side.
What?
You're on Vegas' side. They need Miami to cover that 7.5 or 8.5.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be. I think there's going to be, a lot of these Miami guys have been. In my opinion, Miami kids feel I think they feel football was invented in South Florida, right? So I think right now they are like insulted that they are this underdog in this game. It's a home game for them, and I think they feel insulted. And I think they're going to come into this with a huge edge on their shoulder that Indiana has had all year of being like the under. Indiana is like thinking they're the underdog and thinking they're like this and they're all these chip on their shoulder guys. I think right now Miami has the biggest chip in the world on their shoulder. And I think they're going to come out, and I think they have better athletes. I mean, all around. And I think they also feel, listen, like football might have been invented here, but we perfected right here in South Florida. This is, the South Florida area where Miami is. Like the best thing that like Mario Cristobal used to say, and the Miami guys say, if you just recruit a 50-mile radius around Miami, our campus, and you get the best guys in that area, you can win national championships every year.
You got to win the Battle of Florida, man.
You got to win
Broward County,
what they call is the state of Miami. And, that is what they think down there. And they think that it was, and again, I don't know. I just think that, I think Miami's going to have a big chip on their shoulder. And listen, would it surprise me if Indiana blows them out? No, that's the other way. If there's a lot of points, it's going to be Indiana, in my opinion. But I just think that, I think it's going to be Miami in a lower scoring game, maybe somewhere around like 24-17, 24-21, somewhere like that. That's just my thoughts on it,
Yeah,
Coach, I think you're right on point, man, especially if Ray Lewis gives the pregame. You got Ray Lewis and Ed Reed giving the pregame, dude.
Dude, every
run through the wall.
Tell me who is not to be on that side.
Let me get the pregame.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, there probably going to be a couple dead bodies on that sideline.
There's going to be some. Think about who they got over there. Getting the guys.
Who's going to be on the sideline for Miami's going to have every dude. It's going to be they're going to be lined with gold jackets, and be like, here we are.
Indiana fans travel well.
Put Michael Irvin in a straitjacket. You
just let all these Miami guys walk up to the bleachers, and you watch. They'll be traveling right out of that stadium.
Yeah.
Michael Irvin will be coming out there with his belt, whipping them.
Dude. No, I agree. I think that there's going to be. Listen, Mendoza has that crazy mentality, but it's like this is going to be an environment that I don't know if you can really prepare a guy for. He's going to have to go in there. He's going to have to. The shock is going to have to happen to him, and he's going to have to recover from it, and then go play football and settle the nerves down because you're going into the Miami's house. This isn't a regular season game. This isn't even a playoff game.
That's where Mendoza's from too, man. Remember that?
I'm aware, but it does not matter when the fraternity of the U shows up there and you have, all of those guys are going to be on that sideline. The team's going to be super hyped up, and you're not to mention they got the talent to back it up. They got a defense that's going to come after them. So again, there's going to be some big plays either way. If he can rein it in, it's just wild. It could either, like you said, it's either going to be a slobber knocker, close, tight, nasty football game with Miami having a chance. They need to make it that kind of game to have a chance.
Yeah, that's my point. I think they have to control the clock. And listen, Miami can easily make this game a friggin' 1 or 2 possession a quarter game. That's how they played their games. If they can control the tempo of the game,
long drives,
and keep the long drives and chip away and then Indiana might be fighting the same battle, trying to establish the run, or they're going to go up top trying to defeat not having Lucas in the secondary. Like that's what I wonder. But I think Indiana thrives on mistakes, and I don't think Miami's going to make a lot of mistakes. I really don't. I think they're very well coached on both sides of the ball. And I think that like you talk about chips on his shoulder. I mean, Cignetti has a chip on his shoulder, but Mario Cristobal has a massive chip on his shoulder. Mario Cristobal was fired from FIU years ago. FIU is a shit-em program that he took to 2 back-to-back bowl games, had 1 bad year, and he got fired. So he is like, are you kidding me? Like, and now I'm back in Miami. Like, this guy, and he's in charge with all these guys of bringing, like, he won't say it. You can't say bringing the U back because he don't want to hear that.
Yeah, he's
I think he's waiting for tonight to say we're back. I think that's what he's waiting for. And I think he has so many doubters to prove. People say, why you leave Oregon for this? And listen, he wanted to go home. He wanted to go to the place where he called home. And he has probably all these guys saying, you got to come back here and win here. Now, everybody, I think he's also got some pressure on him too. And I think I think Signetti's definitely playing with house money, but I think he just has, he has the way of doing things. And I just think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's Indiana. If it's low, it's going to be Miami. That's my book. And I'm going to go with the Kings. Sure. Anything else to add, anybody?
That's it, man.
Good.
Yeah. Listen, we were going to try to talk a little bit of pro game with some of the coaching stuff, but, I want to talk to the guys, and we're going to try to pop in a couple times. Any of our listeners, maybe coming up with the NFL playoffs, maybe we'll get something going next week to talk about, what's going to happen with we'll do a Super Bowl show or something before then, talk about all these coaches getting fired and also now what happened with what's his name down in up in Buffalo. Geez.
McDermott
Getting fired. And I think that leaves like 10 head coaches in this coaching cycle fired.
Yep.
Like, where are they getting these guys from? And like, I know Kite is always worried about Sark leaving, and guys leaving. Like, you got Josh Allen sitting out there. I mean, that's enough to make somebody leave. A team to go and coach him. I don't know. That's just something I would think, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with some of those. We'll talk a little bit. We'll get a pro version of the coach's office coming up, and then we'll probably stop in with some draft stuff in the off season. To everybody, and we'll definitely have some fun with these things, man. You guys, anything to add, man? Anything to add for tonight?
Hook 'em. Hook 'em, baby.
You trying to hook 'em was that was the show.
One last time, dude.
Into your finger.
All right.